Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Peterson.
And I'm Jack Hinkle.
Welcome back to Chops, the podcast where we talk about knowing your student, knowing your content, and knowing your teaching. We're here with legendary, longtime music educator, world-renowned academic scholar, Mr. John Jack Hinkle. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good with the other legendary longtime scholar and teacher and everything else, Steve Leroy
Woo!
Peterson.
Woo!
Leroy
Hey,
Peterson. Okay.
Starting at dad. Okay.
And it's our 100th episode. Hey!
That's good. 100.
100.
We've done that 100 times, huh?
Right now we
Yeah.
have. This is
Wow.
the 100th time.
Okay.
Wow. That's crazy. So we thought we would take it today in a direction.
212.
No.
Taking it
Take it back.
212.
Take it back.
Okay.
Just got the cold sweats.
Okay. I'm taking off the glasses.
Yeah,
Okay.
Steve also has chosen to sit back in the chair. I think you've got to come forward if you're going to sit back, though.
My head is so big I could sit 30 yards back and it would still equal the size
Oh,
of
just your forehead's that big. I'm sorry. Was that rude? Are you okay? Oh, did you get caught on the
I got caught. Okay. Okay, here we go.
plastic mat?
I'm good.
Okay, that's better.
I'm sitting back today.
Okay, you haven't worn glasses for like that long. Like you haven't been a glasses guy, but now I'm at the point
Where you're used to seeing
I'm
me in
used
glasses.
to seeing you with glasses.
Yeah.
It kind of freaks me out. Can you put them back on?
Jack,
Steve.
do you still like being a teacher? Wait, do you still want to be a teacher?
Yeah.
I figured those would be the same answer.
I don't think they always are.
You still want to be a teacher.
This is interesting. I feel like I have to hold the mic now because you are. Yeah, I still want to be a teacher.
Okay,
Do you
good.
still want to be a teacher?
Yes.
Okay. Do you like teaching?
Yes.
See, both of those were slower answers for us. Fascinating.
I think teaching is where I should be for right now, at least for this week. And it's a short week. So, no, I still think it's where I should be teaching. And it's not because I don't have anything better else to do. It's not that. It's not like apathy. I think that's where it's at. I think that's what I'm supposed to do. But
That's meaningful.
But it's I said at the beginning of the morning to one of my coworkers, I said, well, here we go. You never know what flower is going to blossom today. You know, like, but isn't every day like not totally different, but it's never the same.
It's a little different each day. A little different.
You know, like I was thinking about like that when I was coming into school, passing by some businesses where people were turning on the lights and coming in and sitting down, you know, like at office jobs as I was driving in. And then I was thinking kind of like what that would feel like to come in, like turn on the lights, sit down at your desk, log into your computer, check your email. Then you're like, okay, now I got 8 hours, right? You know, I was just thinking about that, you know, without bringing in a crew of students every number of hours, that would be a totally different vibe, being at an office job. And it would be more predictable. I'm not saying that every office job would be predictable, but then certainly if you were like in manufacturing, the job could be a lot more predictable. If you're in the RV industry and you're a part of a line, that could be very predictable.
And the kids think that the kids are like, man, it must be really hard working with kids all day. I'm like, well, adults might be harder.
Right.
I think working with kids is pretty fun. Pretty fun. And you're right. Like I thought about that. Like the days where, like, remember we used to have e-learning days where it would be totally asynchronous, but staff would come in for PD.
Yes.
And you have like 3 hours on your own.
Yes.
And those days felt long.
Yes.
And like doing like a desk job, like, whoo. That
Right.
and that's what, and it's like half the time that like most like 9 to 5 people do.
But in part of that, I'm sure we're just naive, Jack, is that understanding about people's specific talents and education and how they've been trained for those jobs and like what they can do and what they look out for, right? It's
Right.
not like us, like sitting at our desk, cleaning up our Google files and cleaning out our physical desk.
But it is interesting because like they would say what we do is exhausting. Like if somebody who just works at a computer, they'd be like, "How do you do that every day? That's exhausting." And then we work a computer desk job for 8 hours, and we're like, "How do you do that? That's exhausting." It's just like your own personal equilibrium, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. And so you never know where like the energy, you never know where like the unique situation is going to come from, right? Bad mood, good mood, success, failure, hot, cold, early, late, like all this kind of stuff. Funny,
happy,
angry,
sad,
yeah.
crying, laughing.
There's so many variables, which does make it pretty fun. Like it's kind of like every day you're like, okay, let's see what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, no, and it keeps it fresh. And you hope the kids change it. Like you would always give the kid like a random prop from the room and be like, if you feel like this rehearsal is getting stale, just press this button and it'll make a noise. And that would be, of course, when you're not on the podium and I'm on the podium, and then there's some like screeching sound coming from the trumpets. Like, Mr. Peterson gave us the goat, okay? You remember the goat?
Yes, I
That
do.
came out
The
during
screaming.
You just hear that out of
Yeah.
nowhere, and we're like, Steve went to Five Below again. Great. Okay, so this week, Steve. See, I know I feel like I have to match your posture because I feel like if I'm up here, I'm
Well,
like
see, I think
talking back.
I don't like leaning forward like this. That's not a very comfortable
No,
posture.
it's okay. I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't want you to think
Then
I'm
why do you keep talking
mocking you.
about it?
because I feel insecure.
Well, that's a you problem. Work on your self-esteem.
Okay, so speaking of the topic this week, we are going to take a deep dive into humility. Humility, or as Steve likes to call it with the kids, eating a slice of humble pie.
Ooh, eating
Right?
a
You remember
slice
that
of
one? I
yeah.
haven't heard you say that in a while, but that was
Right.
kind of your thing. I was inspired today.
Tell us, Jack. Jack was inspired.
I was inspired today because the jazz bands were able to work with my former jazz director at Butler University. His name's Dr. Matt Pivick. Excellent educator, excellent alto saxophonist, really nice guy. And he came in and he was just like so pro kid. And he was so pro kid about everything. And I just told him I was so pleased because I haven't worked with him for like near 10 years. Did you say 20?
Yeah.
Nice.
10 years. Okay.
10 years. And I was just so pleased that like how everything worked out, and he just worked really well with the kids. And he was so pro kid. And I think it's easy for somebody who is not like in front of an ensemble every day or in front of a group, like a clinician,
Mm-hmm.
that they could just be very pro themselves because they're going to pack up and leave and never see those kids again
Right.
after that day. So inspired by him, just being pro kid, but like also just like going further into that from a teacher perspective, like how we can be caught up kind of in our own things, and how if you approach it from a different point of view, like you might not see these kids again, maybe it'd be different. And being very pro kid and trying to be less pro me, and with that humility.
Mm.
That was a really wordy way to get there, but we got there.
I'm sorry, were you talking? Yeah, that's true. That is a lot of words, but that's good because also you said, Dr. Pivick, that was a great situation for you and for the students, but also in contrast to some clinics that you've been a part of before, like with guest teachers, maybe at different festivals or clinics around the state or around the Midwest, that hasn't always been the case.
Right.
Right? And so you were happy to have like a person that had a wealth of knowledge, knowing your content, but then also really good at actually being a teacher, and sounded like he took time to in some way get to know the students or reach out to them.
Yeah, I mean it was kid centric. He didn't know the kids. I mean, he couldn't, but he clearly knew his teaching and content, but he was like aware of the kids, and that was like the number one priority. So, kind of putting it back to like chops, right? Ways like that humility can like show itself in the classroom, or ways to implement things being pro kid. the easiest, like, low-hanging fruit is, I would say, like, turning it back on the kids in, like, a negative way. And we had talked recently on the show, like, that we've been in situations in our own teaching where we, like, explain something pretty poorly, and we don't and the kids don't always respond well because they don't know how to, because we gave them poor instructions, and just, like, finding ways like how we handle that. And you know, I've used the phrase, like, dumb band director award that goes to me today, and just being real with them. But I know that's, like, a probably, like, baseline way of expressing humility, but there are, like, greater ways or more meaningful ways to express your own humility, and not only for the students' benefit in that moment, but, like, so they have a model of that later on.
Yes. I think that really is an important thing for students to see, is to see the adults in their life that can recognize where things didn't go well, and then, like, express it and say, I'm sorry, and maybe we can try that again, or let's try it this way. And it doesn't need to be a big production. You know, you don't need to have, like, a 20-minute pulpit slam on the pulpit kind of thing. It's just like, well, that didn't go really well. It's not exactly what I intended, and I can help you guys better. Let's try it again. Or I can be more clear. Right?
Exactly.
And, you know, I did marching band for a long time. I was only the head director for 1 year, but, you know, if you're running a large rehearsal, think of whatever the largest group you're teaching, and things go, the performance is, like, bad. The instructions were not clear.
Correct.
And the expectations were not clear. So there's so much wrapped up in that, but just kind of walking it back and say, okay, I'll be more clear about what's going on.
And it kind of goes back to that Ken Snook quote, like, a good performance is a reflection of the kids' hard work and efforts. A bad performance is a reflection of the poor preparation of the director. I mean, that's, like, humility in the nutshell,
Yes.
right? If your group is successful, you give the credit away. And if they're not, you own it as the person in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's real. What about, like, in your day-to-day teaching, like, not, like, big picture stuff? Because you're talking about giving directions, and if the kids biff it, you're like, well,
right.
Enough of you made a mistake. That was clearly on me. Are there other examples that come to your mind in, like, your day-to-day teaching on how you approach things, maybe from, like, a big picture standpoint or from, like, a small?
I tell you what, it's been a lesson in humility with teaching at Aspire from the standpoint of I'm teaching or assisting with a lot of different classes other than music.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of things I get into with algebra and geometry and chemistry and physics that I'm not real comfortable with. So I have a student that has a need saying, can you help me with this? And then it's me wanting to, like, honor that with the student, say, yes, I'll help you. And then finding that I'm in over my head and that I'm using Google Gemini, but they're like, you're cheating. I'm like, no, I'm not cheating, but I'm looking for the answer and for the how we're solving this so we can, like, review it together. You know, I'm not hiding that from them. So that was an example today. Like, I was in geometry and I was really having a hard time with this triangle puzzle on a graph, and where I was working with the student, and it took me a long time to kind of figure out the concept that was going on and what was being asked. And I kept on reassuring the student, like, I'm not going slow because of you. I'm going slow because of me. And this is me working it out. I said, I'm not trying to play dumb with you so we can be on the same level. Like, this is where I am. And, like, for me, this has been, like, quite a bit of self-reflection that for many years I was teaching music, and the content was, a lot of it was kind of second nature, you know, especially like in jazz band. There were so many things that were just kind of, that became instinctive. They weren't like originally, but they just became instinctive. and about how to fix certain situations in a band rehearsal or how to handle certain situations. So there was just all these tools that you could pull out. And right?
No, I'm with you.
So it goes back to the trifecta, because then like you don't know your content, and like you got to know your content. Well, if you're teaching like many different subjects or responsible for helping students get that stuff done, you're probably not going to be strong in everything. And so there's a little balance act going on in helping students in certain ways, or tell them how to find the answers and how to synthesize the answer. So I'm not shy about that with the students now.
But see, like when you tell me this, I'm like, but that's perfect, because you're modeling the humility to them, and not only modeling, but you're like giving that to them. Like that's a gift that you're giving them that maybe those kids have not had in school, right? Because they are with you because they are trying to work toward these goals, and you're able to say, look, I'm not great about this, but let me show you that, one, I own that, and two, I'm going to try and show you like how I would find the answer and work through this together.
Yes.
Because you're also showing them, like, by finding the answer, you're more concerned with how to get from A to B. You're not just concerned with the answer itself, and then you're kind of teaching them that skill,
right,
and they can apply that moving forward. I think that's great.
Right. So it is interesting thinking about humility and then thinking about the teaching trifecta, and the teaching trifecta of not really being so secure in knowing your content, and like how do you make up for that in other ways.
That's fascinating. I'm thinking about how humility looks when you apply it to each piece of the trifecta.
Right, because I can do really well at like getting to know the students.
Yeah.
I can still do that.
And you can teach.
I can teach. Like I know some tricks, and I know some patterns that work, and I know, I enjoy that. Like different angles trying to get to it. But the content is not always there, and for the near future, it's not going to be there.
Sure.
And maybe even for the long future, it's not going to be. I'm not going to be the one-stop shop 9 through 12 for everything, and so me has to take on some learning too, and so in a conclusion, no, and as a result,
I see.
I have in different times when I have free time or just time down, I'll go through some of the tutorials by myself on geometry, or I know a student's coming in tomorrow to work on this unit, and I want to be sure at least I have some concept of what's going on.
So you're still trying to master the content.
Still trying to master the content,
but at the very least.
Yeah. So humility, boy, that seems like that's. I'm glad Dr. Pivot gave you that example and that reminder. I think you do a good job at that. Like I've never seen you in a rehearsal just kind of double down like, no, what I said was, and you guys messed it up. I never have seen you like that. It's more of kind of thinking about like Dana Hall in Chicago at DePaul University. He would call the rehearsals a collaboration, and you would, kind of more like, okay, we're trying to get this together. I'm not trying to put you on the spot to see if you can do it or not. We're working together. So I'm going to be helpful to you because I want you to succeed, not like I got you.
Right. And that's something that I do think about. Like if you talk about how you tweak your own teaching, I do think about that, because there are times that students will make mistakes that it's on them, like in the learning process. And there are times that they'll make mistakes that it's not. And it's not on anybody. They're just making mistakes. And then sometimes there are times where it's on me and I'm making the mistakes. And I think it can kill the vibe of a group if the leader doesn't own that, because the kids can sniff that out real fast. And I also think it's empowering to the kids to say like, no, that's not the best thing you've gotten from me. That's not fair. I'll try it again. As you said, just you don't make a big deal about it, but you try again and you move on. But, on the flip side of that, I do want to hold them accountable So when I say those things, it doesn't feel like fluff. For example, I might say, okay, play the hold at chart 80. We're going to go to 82. And then we do it. And the kids biff it. But the hold wasn't really until, 81. So
Okay.
I gave poor instructions. And I'll say, yeah, I own that. Or sometimes I might give it directly and the kids miss it. And I'll say, please get the instructions the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's both sides. It's high accountability for them, but also for me.
I'm glad you said that, and that you're putting some ownership on the students as well. It's not like every mistake is a result of the teacher, for sure. But being able to, you do something like you've said it correctly,
Yeah.
and you said it clearly,
Right.
and you gave time for process, and then the instructions are biffed, so it gives you a chance to explore what are the kids thinking about and like what's going on.
Right. See, when I think about humility as a teacher and in the trifecta, at some points, like early on in the career, it was definitely humility in the teaching. Like I feel like
the process of teaching.
because I mean, as a young teacher, you're always figuring it out and you're trying to be humble about it in your own reflection. And it's pretty easy to stay humble as a young teacher. But see, now I think about it more in terms of knowing my kids. Like it humbles me, and I know we've talked about this recently, when I have to ask which kids work where, or like, oh, you have a brother? Yeah, I told you that last week. We talked about him. He plays trumpet in the beginning band.
Don't you pay attention to me?
Like, don't you? Come
Right.
on. Like, and every time that happens, I feel like I've lost like a penny in the piggy bank with that kid,
Right.
and it's like a total bummer. But you get into your moments in the school year where things are like gearing up, and your mind, it's already firing at all, like everything. You're going 100 miles an hour, but then there's like more things that come on. And I heard your voice in our previous podcast when you were like, Jack, what did you do to build relationships with the Marching Minutemen today? And then I like had that little fake blow up. You remember that?
Yeah.
Because we had the clinician in today, and I was
Right.
like, I'm not doing that today. I'm gonna make time to build relationships. I'm gonna be purposeful.
You did?
I did one thing. I was like with the after lunch jazz band. A member of that was able to cheer at Lucas Oil Stadium this past weekend. So with the football team going down there.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, first thing we got to do is cheer for this person because they got to be a cheerleader
On the
cold
Lucas
stadium.
Oil Stadium floor.
That was cool. So like we cheered for them. But even working with them, like there's still moments like we can like have meaningful connections during the rehearsal, like while Dr. Pivik was there, and he's there for it and rolling along with it. And I'm pretty sure he values those moments too as a music educator. So that felt good, and like trying to be particular about that today was my goal, because it's so easy to let that slip away. So easy.
I think that's all like perfect stuff. That's like good stuff, Jack. You've learned well. Good job.
You've learned well. I thought you were going to call me young Padawan for a second, which is fine.
No, I don't want to call you Padawan. That was like putting us on different planes. We're on the same plane, Jack. I almost called you Joe. But okay. Oh, dang it. Steve, don't let the surf go out. Steve, don't let the surf go out.
Humility.
Oh, humility. Okay. When you think about a day of teaching and you think about being tired,
Is this before or after I cry?
after
Okay,
cry,
got it.
post cry,
Post cry.
but you're reflecting on the day,
Yeah.
which I know that you do, and a lot of teachers do. You
Yeah,
kind of
sure.
reflect on the day. Maybe it's on the drive home or when you're going to bed or
Yeah.
whatever. But when you do you find that you are replaying things, and if the day didn't go well, or if the day just had like some stress to it,
Sure.
are you like coming back to yourself? Or are you like coming back to the kids?
Myself. Every time. You?
Do you think like that? And sorry, I'm not answering your question. Does that seem like that in life too? This is an important question.
Oh.
So you're like, some interaction did not go well with somebody. Are you critiquing yourself?
Fascinating.
Or are you critiquing them?
Fascinating. Probably a mix in my personal life, in my real life.
Yeah, I want the real life.
I would say it's not one or the other. It's definitely a mix. That's a great question.
Thank you.
I want to see where you go with it, but you got to answer it too.
I think more about myself.
In both?
More so lately. I think it's been kind of growing out of that circle of control.
Okay.
Like what I can
Versus
control. I can
influence,
only
yeah.
control like what I say and do.
Yeah, sure.
And
I'm with you.
not being responsible for everybody's thoughts and actions and words.
So when you're relating this to like your own teaching versus real life,
Mm-hmm.
where are you going with this and sense of humility?
I think a lot of it goes back to last week's episode, like a lot about like self-reflection and replaying conversations or interactions that you have. How could I have said this different? How could I have approached this different? How could I have been more systematic? How could I have been less rambly like I am now and just been on point, like get directly to a point? How could I get to a point and then not worry about covering up and like, do you understand? But to say, this is it.
Yeah.
And then moving on.
Gosh, you're a freaking wizard, dude.
Super. But I think that's, we're all growing up all the time, but it's interesting that what you can control, and I think that we think about how others should be controlled, or how others
We'd
should
like to control others.
How we like to control, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
right?
Teaching would be easy if you could control everybody.
Right, you can't control everybody. I can,
Yeah.
and I've done exercises about that, like what I can control and what I can't. I can't control what the students are thinking. I cannot control how they look at me. I cannot control how they walk into my class. I cannot control if they choose to engage me in conversation. I cannot control if they'll answer the question
No,
correctly.
you can't control anything if
No,
it's them.
I can
You
only control
you.
me and my personality and my intentionality and my interaction with them and knowing my content and knowing my teaching. I can control that, and I can regulate myself so I don't get all agitated and then like take it out on somebody else and say, well, that's a you problem.
Right. And that, gosh, I mean, I don't know what goes on in the other 100 million teachers out in the world.
Yeah.
But I would guess that there's a lot of that's a you problem. I don't know. And that is something controllable, as you said, and like trying to find more opportunities to embrace the humility and embrace the things that might be uncomfortable but do pay off. I mean, yeah, for the kids, but also like for yourself, right? Doesn't that, I would think.
Right. I think it pays off. Well, you said that earlier. It's a life skill and something that you want people to see and like real relation with other people. And
Right.
there's this idea in my mind. We had this a couple episodes again that we were talking about the voices in the head.
Yes.
About what, the other side of the camp would look like. Well, you're the teacher. You shouldn't have to say you're sorry, and you don't need to take responsibility for them being so clueless,
But like that's the reality. Like if I don't change what I do, then they're not going to change, right?
But don't you see those like flashback videos on YouTube or Instagram? They're like, why teaching in the 1950s was better.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm just like, okay, well, so we need to be more strict and more concise and more objective, and that's the way that's always painted. Right?
We can't use iPads?
Right.
Right. It was like classroom management was very strict and stern, and parents never were complaining about what teachers do to their kids or how they talk to
and
their
the
kids.
teacher had to say.
The buck stops with them.
Right.
And the kid, okay, whatever.
Right. And maybe it worked at that time. I don't know. But why am I shaking my arm up like I'm
You're passionate. It's
cheering?
okay. Embrace it.
Embraceable you. Okay. So the idea though about I think it's important to have those skills, and because I think ultimately it's strong. And not that we're trying to be strong. So I'm not trying to be like dominating, but I think it presents a strong, composed, mature idea that you can handle that.
Yes.
And you're hoping that students, teenagers, a lot of them unregulated because that's their job, they're going through it, but they can say, yeah, I kind of messed that one up, instead of finding the scapegoat.
And isn't that like one of the best feelings is when students unprompted walk something back to you?
Yep.
Because that you're just like, wow, you were more mature than like 90% of the people in the world.
Yes.
Like that's amazing.
Right.
And it almost like it doesn't, but it almost negates whatever the bad thing was.
Right. And then you can, as a teacher, just like heap on the praise.
Yes.
And you can make that a teaching moment.
Yes.
In your classroom and say, this just happened. And maybe you could use it like anonymously, not single that student out.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And just talk about this just happened in our class. And I want to share with you like how this went and how certain students have acted towards me recently.
Perfect. I would like to use you as an example because I can think of a specific moment
Beat 'em up.
that you brought yourself into the fold of humility, but
my
made it a
gosh.
teachable moment.
Oh boy.
I think you were getting ready to go to a jazz festival somewhere, like you're meeting in the band before you load the bus, and you must have been with like one jazz band. 'Cause you and I think I was just traveling with you. I wasn't teaching, but you were like, "Band, you guys got here on time, but there are two people in the room that don't have their music with them." And you're like, "One of them's me." And I thought that was perfect because like you humanized whichever other kid didn't bring it, and I'm sure you already had the originals with you that like it wasn't a big deal, and like you were prepared, but you showed the band that hey, 95% of us are prepared, so good for us. And then that one other kid, like we have a solution, but you're like humanizing yourself and being like, I do this too.
Right.
And it happens.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
And
for.
I think that was a good moment.
Thank you.
And another, going back to like modeling what we want our kids to do. How many times have you had to like say to a kid, try again, and this time just say, okay.
Yes.
I had
Yes.
a moment like that today internally because, every band director knows the feeling when you bring in a clinician to work with your band because
Oh my gosh.
you pay for them. You pay a clinician.
You
basically
pay for them to repeat what you've said.
or roast you, like worse. Like there's not. Yeah, the clinicians never like.
Right.
Wow. Clearly, you spent quite a bit of time on your intonation because, wow, your band is just flourishing, lowering the third 7 cents and raising the fifth 12. I don't even know if those numbers are right. Raising the fifth 12 cents. No, they go, hey, trumpets, make sure you're not over articulating. And then you're like, oh, write that. I already did. Okay. Yeah, it's just like the things you've tried teaching them for 3 months, that they still can't do. Yeah, keep working on that. That's what you pay clinicians to do, right?
Yes.
So having a clinician come work with your group is awesome because you get to see somebody else teach.
Yes.
You get to see somebody with fresh ideas and fresh ears listen to your group and
Yes.
things that you don't get bogged down on.
Preach.
But then they come talk to you afterward and they're like, yeah, so here's the list of things that you need to do. And that's like humble pie.
Oh, God.
That's like the whole pie right there, right? And Steve was like a person who taught me to be the just say okay guy. And
okay.
so Dr. Pivik's got a list of things and he's like, keep thinking about this, keep thinking about this. And I go, okay. Yeah, good idea. Okay. As opposed to, well, we've been working on that, and it was a full moon last night.
And we had a
6
2-hour
kids,
delay,
and my
and I
grandma
couldn't
died
get
last
to it,
week. My
and,
dog won't eat her breakfast, and I'm so
just off
stressed.
my game and not enough
And
protein
I
in
don't
my
know what to
diet.
do, and we're talking about practice. So
Exactly.
all those things line up, and it's so easy to play that game.
Yes. And then isn't it fun, not fun, but kind of like crazy, like when your band is being clinicked and you just want to jump in there and go, we already talked about that. You're like, yes, we already talked about that. It's
Yeah,
like,
you just want to get up in front of the kids and go, ha! I told you! I told you! I
boom,
told you!
roasted.
Roasted!
You just want to do that. And just to sit back and just like bite your fingers and like look at the kids like, how's this going?
Oh, there was a moment last year where something like that happened. Oh, I can remember it. One of the groups I worked with, one of the sections really struggled with a specific rhythm in one spot. And it was one of those things that you work on every day and it just like, it gets better and then it gets worse.
Okay.
You're just like in a constant teeter-totter. And we showed up to a clinic and the clinician was like, yeah, you guys let's look at that rhythm here for a second. And the entire band just goes,
It looks at you.
it looks at me and I just go, yeah. But those are some
Yeah, and you don't need to
moments.
stand up and say, yeah, we worked on that 6,000 times.
Because it
Like,
doesn't matter if you worked on
doesn't
it.
matter.
Because
Like,
they can't do
they're
it. It's
trying,
fine.
and they're still trying to help you. So that is I think that's a good thing. Like you brought up humility and talking about Dr. Pivick about how his teaching is full of humility and it really helps engage the students. But then also your experience as the teacher or the director of that class and inviting somebody else to say, please help critique my teaching.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
and you pay a little money, but a person that's not humble is not going to invite somebody to do that.
No.
Right?
Yeah, probably not. Or if they do, it would be a painful experience for the clinician.
Right.
Trombones, can you play that softer? Actually, we wrote in that it's forte, so we planned that.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm glad you taught me that one very early in my career. Yeah, it gets me over that. So this is our 100th episode.
Yep.
Great.
Are you gonna like bring out something? I thought you were gonna bring out like a banner or a trophy.
How about like a giant like check?
$100,000. Yeah.
Chops podcast, but it's like written by you,
Okay.
signed SLP. Sweet, Steve. Thanks.
Okay. So Jack, I have a phone.
I
and
noticed.
Yesterday, I texted you and I was like, "Yo, chops
today?
on chops
yeah.
on Monday."
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I was driving. I was coming home from my parents' house. So
Oh, it did say dictated with Siri underneath it. I was like,
It did?
I wish I could have heard that one in the car.
No, I was like, yo, chops Monday, and you thumbs up. So then I was like, Siri, open my calendar, put this in there, chops, 4 p.m. Monday, and I looked at it and it said chopped. So I was like,
Chop.
that's kind of how I feel sometimes at the end of school. It's a
Yeah.
little chopped, but
That's how the trumpet sounded about this time of day. Dang! I'm just kidding.
wow.
Their trumpets are cool people. Yeah, it's our 100th episode. So that means we've been doing this for
100 times.
100 weeks. I was going to go more specific before you threw in your sarcasm, but you
Oh,
know.
well, longer than that.
It's been longer than that 'cause we take breaks. But it has been over 2 years, which is kind of crazy when you think about where this idea came from and where it is now. I like to think we're still going strong. I like to think Chops is at its best yet, and there's
The best is yet to come. I think it is, Jack.
I think it is. I mean, we got mugs. I was thinking about stickers.
Okay,
If we
some
made
of the
stickers,
some
would
of
you-
the students, some of the juniors and seniors were like, if you guys had Chop swag, I'd buy it.
Your kids?
No, you're
Oh, my kid. I
band
know,
kids,
I know the band kids would buy it. I'm sure they would get into that.
but I don't know how that looks and how much you got to do with that and how much we want to do with that.
How much
but
I want to do? What are you saying? I have to do all the work if we put merch together?
you're just better at it, Jack. Okay, so it's time for dinner.
White chicken chili
Oh
tonight.
my gosh, it's 5:27.
Yeah, I know. We talk too much before we record.
Okay.
We're too nice to
So
each other.
please like, subscribe, and leave a review on all the Chop Social. We have appreciated talking to you for 100 episodes. Thanks for your patience as we figure this out.
And here come 100 more.
Woo!
All next week.
One time. So for Steve Peterson,
Jack Hinkle.
we're out of here.
See ya.